Hello, it's Got a Ukulele review day, another instrument for you. This is the summary review. Read the full written review below. Even better, subscribe, press the buttons here, and think about joining the Patreon because it really helps me out. It's another brand from Fender, a divisive ukulele brand, but I figured I wanted to do this one because I've reviewed a couple of theirs from their new California Beach series. I've reviewed the top end called the Montecito, which was not brilliant, but really not bad actually, and actually surprised me. It just had a couple of flaws to it. And at the other end, their entry level, I reviewed a few weeks ago, the Fender Venice Soprano, which was absolutely woeful. So at one end we've got not bad at all, and at the bottom end we've got absolutely woeful. A tenor and a soprano, and in the middle of the tenor and the soprano is their concert, and it's also a halfway house in terms of price, and it's a halfway house in terms of spec. And this is the new Fender Zuma concert, and I think it's quite attractive actually. Originally the Zuma came in a satin finish with a wood finish. It's made of all laminate sapele wood, so not plywood like the Venice. But the new Zumas come in a range of 3 colours. This one's candy apple red, comes in a sort of burgundy pinky colour, and Lake Placid blue. And that colour is applied only, as you can see, to the top, and the rest of it is a wood finish. And you know what? I quite like that contrast, actually. I don't think I'd play the pink one, but, whatever floats your boat. But this is a deep red, and it's a standard Fender red, and that Venice was candy apple red too. But because they finished this one with gloss, it's got a real deep sort of almost burgundy colour, almost metallic looking, and I think it's quite attractive, actually. So we've got 2 pieces of laminate sapele on the back, 2 pieces of laminate sapele on the sides. I can't tell whether the top is 2 pieces, but I suspect it will be, but that's laminate sapele too. I would rather have seen a translucent colour on the top that allowed me to see the grain, but it is what it is. And as I say, all finished in a gloss, and the gloss is very nicely done. I mean, it's flawless. The Venice wasn't flawless, but then that wasn't gloss. But there is too much of it on the top. It's kind of pooling around here. Really hard for me to show you this, but it's just too thick on the top and pretty messy on the underside of the sound hole edge. But, other than that, no bubbles or ripples, and it's really shiny everywhere. Real mirror, dead flat back, incidentally. Like all the models, you get this cream binding with a bit of black purfling, which sets off the top and the back, but unlike the Venice and more like the Montecito, you get an abalone, false abalone inlay around the sound hole. That's nice and attractive. The bridge is made of black walnut, and it's nice and small, really small. Fender this time, I think they have a problem in how they describe their bridges. On the Venice, they called it a no-tie bridge. It's a slotted bridge. On this, they call it a pull-through bridge. No, it's a slotted bridge. A pull-through is where you put the strings in through the sound hole and pull them out the top. This is just a slotted bridge. Why not just call it a slotted bridge? And a straight-topped plastic, I think, saddle. Inside, very tidy, but very simple. Unnotched linings. The bracing doesn't look too chunky, and the top doesn't look too thick, but I can't really see what's going on inside. We'll come on to that when I play it. Up to the neck, this is NATO wood with really obvious joints here and a massively obvious joint there. I really don't like that. It's not quite as rounded on the back as on the Venice. It's got a more of a flatter profile. It is only a standard 35mm wide at the nut, but you do get nearly 29mm between the G and A strings, so that's quite roomy. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 frets, a bit stingy. Joined at the 12th. I prefer concerts to be joined at the 14th because joining them at the 12th makes them feel a bit soprano-ish to me. But that is a really traditional joint. Martin joined their concerts at the 12th, so it's not a big bugbear. That's a black walnut fingerboard in really nice condition, and as you can see, it's edge-bound in cream, which really sets it off, and it means that the fret edges are really nice and smooth. Position markers at 5, 7, 10, double at 12, and one at the 15th, and they are repeated on the side with black dots. A bit of cream cap there on the heel as well. I mean, that's a nice, attractive neck, and whilst it's only 35mm, it's comfortable. the headstock. Look, read my other reviews for what I've got to say on the headstock. I just don't think it suits a ukulele, and I don't like it. It's too big as well. But it is a Fender headstock, and that's why they use it. I know that, with the Fender logo. And it too, wooden on the back, but faced with the candy apple red on the front, covered in gloss. It's much more attractive than the headstock on the Venice. It really is. Being a Fender headstock, you get inline tuners, whilst they are much better than those on the Venice, which were useless. These are just too big. Look at the size of those covers. These are guitar tuners. That's just really ugly. I mean, I know that's an aesthetic thing, and they work all right, but they're ugly. I don't like that. They don't specify what the strings are. They look like Aquilas, but they don't come with an Aquila string tag, so they won't be. They're white opaque. And as I say, halfway house on size, halfway house on spec. The Montecito is over 200 quid. The Venice is about 60. This is about 120 pounds RRP, which is not a bad price for a concert with gloss, with bindings, with edge band on the fingerboard. This sort of spec, even if it is all laminate, and it's not plywood laminate, it is Sapele laminate. It's not a bad price at all, actually. It's made very well. Other than that overdone gloss on the top, it's light, it's nice and balanced. And you know, those looks are really starting to grow on me in the way that the Montecito did, because I thought that was a really pretty instrument. I didn't think I'd like this, because I don't normally like coloured ukuleles, but there's something about that sort of two-tone juxtaposition that I quite like, actually. There we are, Barry liking a Fender. To play it, again, halfway house. It's got a tone that's really pretty and characterful. It's not as boxy as you'd expect from a laminate. It's not one-dimensional. It's got a certain amount of character to it, and it's leagues above the Venice. But it lets me down, like the Montecito did on the volume. Now, you're going to have to take my word for it on this, because obviously I've got microphone gain settings so you can actually hear me, and when it goes through the processing and ends up on YouTube, that'll normalise it too. So you may say, well, I can hear it and that sounds great. You can hear it, of course, it makes a noise. Trust me, it's just not punchy. I'm having to really dig in to get it to bark. It's not muffled, it's not strangled, it's just subdued. And I think it's probably because of this thick top and probably a bit overbraced inside, which is common for a guitar maker. It's a criticism, but it's not a horrible tone, and it's not a bad ukulele. I love the look of it. And it's a very pretty, charming tone. Great ukulele for playing on your sofa. Anyway, let's have a play. I'm going to check the tuning on that because it's a new model here. People say I play them out of tune. I don't, but that E string has gone going out, so sorry about that. So the boring bit where you watch somebody tune up a ukulele, yeah. But let's get it in tune. Characterful, but I'm just really not getting any volume out of it. The sustain is not bad. It's not brilliant, but so it's not the sustain issue. It is sustaining, but what it's doing is it's sustaining from a very low start point. Again, Fender, they get close. The Montecito got close, but it let me down on the volume. This gets close, but it lets me down on the volume. Don't get me wrong, it's not a terrible instrument. It gets a pretty good score when you read the review. For playing at home, for playing for pleasure, for playing in the garden, perfect. Really nice little ukulele. Take this along to your local club where there's 20, 30 other people playing on ukuleles. You're not going to hear yourself. And that is a bit of a criticism, I'm afraid. So that drags down the sound element of the score. But there's a lot to like about this, and it's kind of close to being a really good one. If they could sort of get that volume up, probably brace it a bit less and thin this coating on the top, I think they'd have a really nice little instrument. The looks really did it for me. But it's not just all about looks, is it? The Fender Zuma Concert Ukulele, this one in Candy Apple Red, about £120 in the UK, from their new California Beach series. It's far better than the Venice, leagues above the Venice. It's pretty close to the Montecito for a lot less money. These are all good things. But, I wish it was just had a bit more punch to it. There we are. Back next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you very soon.